Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Ackerman, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Rick Ackerman, editor of the newsletter Rick's Picks, his website, rickackerman.com. Welcome back to the show, Rick, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Jim, and thanks as always for inviting me on.
Rick, do you feel the S&P is getting pretty toppy?
Yeah, we were exactly at a target that I put out for my subscribers some time ago. The exact number is the E-mini S&Ps, and let me see, the exact number was 3767. We came down pretty hard off that yesterday within a few points of it, and I'm not persuaded that this is not a major top we're at. I've got a couple things that would contradict that, but for the time being, I'm thinking that maybe we have caught an important top, and also, if not, the alternative projections they're just too high to believe. So anyway, I'm sort of trained on the idea that stocks are topping here.
What does that mean for people trying to take some money out of the market?
Yeah, I mean, typically bear markets don't begin with some wave of selling. They slowly take shape from buyers just not showing up. And so I would not necessarily expect a big wave down, but if you've been in the market all along, I think this is a really good time to take some money off the table, maybe do covered rights with options, but in general to be pretty careful.
What's going on with gold?
I've hated gold. I like it. I mean, gold's in a bull market, and you look at a chart, and even on its worst day, when it was down 100 points last month, you think, well, this is just a fake. It's just an opportunistic sell-off that's sort of programmed by the sleazeballs who make their money borrowing gold. So it's been really disappointing, and all of the speculative flows that would ordinarily go into gold based on evidence that we're in the throes of a global monetary blowout, some of that would go into gold. But Bitcoin has gotten just about 100% of the speculative action, and a couple things have happened. Bitcoin has reached levels where even the psychotics who have been trading it are saying, geez, I wonder if there's something else we might look at, and gold is an obvious answer.
Why do you think people have not been getting into gold until, recently in the last, say, 6 months?
Well, it's been pretty stable. As I said, even on gold's bad days, it doesn't get hammered in such a way that it creates any technical damage on the longer term charts. So it's just been kind of biding its time. But, we've seen the Bitcoin version 2 in speculative mode arise since the March 23rd the bottom of the spring collapse. So everybody's been focused on Bitcoin, even professing to believe the idiotic idea that they prefer Bitcoin to gold. And of course, that's where lunacy takes over. And as I said, I think the realization of the untruth of that is starting to push speculative flows into gold. So gold's getting some of the action right now, and that's why I think this current launching of gold, which began a few weeks ago, is underway in earnest.
What's your impression of these new Robinhood traders?
They are the kind of idiots that you have to envy. None of them has experienced a bull market. They know that if they sit down at the desk and buy something that's Bitcoin related, they'll make money no matter what the swings against them. So, and I say envy because those of us who have experienced the market going both ways know how brutal it can be. But the people who've been making money hand over fist in Bitcoin just aren't even remotely aware of that. And it doesn't help that some of the really big, otherwise responsible players like Tudor Jones and Michael Saylor, and they've been talking their book so aggressively that it's kind of stoked the fire, as it were. So anyway, the trading in Bitcoin, all that speculative action is being dominated by a relative handful of inexperienced traders, and it doesn't hurt or help, actually, that there's so many vehicles that are kind of in a good price range. It's one thing to be trading Bitcoin at $30,000 per copy, but now you've got speculative equity-based vehicles in Bitcoin that are down below $10. So that helps to drive the paper side of this speculative mania.
We'll have more with Rick Ackerman right after this.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Rick Ackerman. Rick, is the ugly head of inflation showing up?
I hate to say it because I've been such a hardcore deflationist, and I think deflation is really where the end game is going. But this is, let's say, inflation's last gasp. I think deflation will win out because there's no way that we're going to skip out on all our debts. It's convenient now to keep interest rates low because so many people owe in dollars. But just a turn of the screw, such as we're already experiencing in the bond markets, could suppress any incipient inflation. All right, so if you just sort of take a step back, it's not rocket science to see that the whole world is, the central banks have sort of gone off their rocker, and they've just, without any apologies or without qualifying what they're doing, they're just going all out to inflate or die. And that's a problem for them. This is something we've discussed before. It takes more and more stimulus dollars to keep the Titanic afloat. And there are a couple people, notably Charles Hugh Smith, who make the point that it should be obvious, but it's certainly not to our policy makers, and that is that the more stimulus you have, the more deflationary it is, because you're just piling debt so high. And if you accept the stimulus idea at its brazenly lying face, then you believe that the stimulus is going to get the economy going again, and it'll be going good enough that we can pay off the debts that we're incurring now to stimulate. But nobody could actually believe that. You know, the stimulus borrowing is already creating such a drag on the economy that there's no conceivable way, and I mean that in the mathematical, physically unlimited sense. There's no conceivable way that we're ever going to stimulate our way back to economic health. So we've got all this debt, and it's going to have to be discharged either through inflation or deflation. And as I said, I think we may have them sequentially with an interlude right now of inflation, but never getting to the hyperinflationary stage where we peel a couple of $100,000 bills off our money clip and tell our mortgage holders here it is. I guess we're settled. That ain't going to happen. So that's why I see a deflationary end game. We're not going to get out of all these debts. And I'll also mention that one of the bigger debts is pension fund liabilities. And if you just sort of follow the money, you understand why we can't possibly inflate our way out of that by sending, to start with, state of Illinois retired employees, state workers. We can't be sending out hundreds of thousands of pension checks every month without California, Connecticut, New Jersey, and 23 other states saying, hey, where's ours? So because there's no inflationary remedy for the pension fund mess, among other things, and I include the Social Security system if you want to think big numbers, we're simply not headed to an inflationary end game. It can't happen. But I have to concede that for the time being, all systems are go here for inflation, or at least the sense that it's somehow going to menace us.
We'll have more with Rick Ackerman right after this.
Ackerman Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Ackerman's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at ackermanresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Rick Ackerman. Rick, under President Trump, the U.S. took the gloves off when it came to dealing with China. Is that policy going to continue?
Well, we're at a very interesting juncture here because, yes, Trump did take the gloves off, and he did it so successfully, making the point that the only way that the Chinese even have an economy is because they've lied, cheated, and stolen their way to success. You know, they don't have anything that they sell or they manufacture that wasn't stolen from patents that were created outside of China. So Trump was so successful in finally saying the emperor's wearing no clothes. You know, we talk about doing good business with the Chinese and they'll finally come around and be a democracy someday. Everybody knows what a falsehood that was, and that we're really dealing with a bunch of real operators. So, and we're starting to see the political side, the whole dimension of Chinese spying and the extent to which they've got their tentacles in and around all things USA. So Trump made his case so successfly that even knee-jerk free trading proponents like the Wall Street Journal have come around and basically said, you know, that China is so corrupt and we're never going to be able to reform them that we simply have to cover our ass no matter what kind of business we're doing with them. I see that as of today, the New York Stock Exchange backed out of its earlier commitment to delisting all Chinese telecom companies. So they're still going to be in there raising money in U.S. markets, although I'm not sure what's going to happen to that because you've got a storm front here between Trump's finally putting China in proper perspective and Biden, who has sort of floated Bob Iger, you know, a Disney guy who has been he's been a China suck-up, probably if you listed corporate suck-ups in America, who have just, you know, kissed every inch of China's naked body. I had a horrible metaphor, I know. But Iger is one of the biggest corporate suck-ups in the world to China. So here he was floated as a possible ambassador to China, which is, you can't reconcile that really with the way policy is headed. But I'm not sure that even a screw-up, do nothing, never do good like Biden is going to be able to take us in another direction, because even Europe and other Asian companies are on board for keeping a lid on China. So it's not just U.S. policy. I think that Great Britain and other countries realize that when you let a company like Huawei in the door with telecom equipment, you're as much as saying to their whole spy network, here's everything we know, everything you need to know. It's right there, we don't. Nobody doubts China's technological ability to take something that's smaller, as it turned out in one investigation, smaller than the tip of a very well sharpened pencil, and use that as the single conduit for virtually all of the information that's passing through a supercomputer or a network of computers and servers. So the world's onto them, really. And as much as Biden would want to put Mickey Mouse suck up Iger, install him as the ambassador to China, we may have, even under Biden, a reflection of a more insidious reality.
Getting back to gold and Bitcoin, why would somebody say gold was useless and Bitcoin is the way to go?
Well, because they're pretty stupid. Bitcoin is so hot that the speculative action has sort of taken over these people's brains. It's not hard to see why the big guys like Paul Tudor Jones and Saylor and some of the others are saying Bitcoin's great. They're just talking their book. But I have my doubts that they really believe all the things they say about Bitcoin being money or Bitcoin being a store of value or any of those things, because it's none of those things really. It's purely a speculative vehicle. So gold is the real deal, and it's got a history. Even the Bitcoin players who think, well, we're going to have an edge here because we can finally have a money of our own. Well, so to the extent that the government itself is, if not quite embracing blockchain currency at this point, they are seemingly clearing the way for it. But if they do, it's no more going to leave the bit players in Bitcoin to themselves than the U.S. government left warehouse receipts for gold to the issues of currency in the old west of the USA. So anybody who thinks Bitcoin's going to be the money of the people has another thing coming to them. It's going to be, if we do get blockchain for most transactions, if it becomes a true currency, the government's going to essentially co-opt the franchise.
There's also the issue of it takes a lot of electricity to mine Bitcoin. Places like Whatcom County in Washington State had brownouts because everybody was trying to mine Bitcoin. Is it impractical for that kind of use, especially if people start switching to electric vehicles and start drawing power on the grid from that?
Yeah, that's another aspect that's a little bound up kind of in the inscrutable technology of blockchain money. But it's true that you earn Bitcoin essentially by solving an algorithm that embeds a particular transaction into the blockchain. So everybody is kind of working at that solution. It takes enormous computer power to solve, especially when you're sort of at the tail end of the limitations on how much Bitcoin would be minted. I can't remember. It's like 22 million Bitcoins. And as you get toward the end of that, the blockchain algorithm becomes more difficult to solve. It takes more computer power. And of course, one thing that is not mentioned often enough is that for all the quote unquote miners out there trying to solve the blockchain, only one of them is going to come up a winner. So you have enormous energy that is squandered by Bitcoin algorithm losers to produce one winner who manages to extract with enormous amounts of computational power Bitcoin. So, and I also have to laugh when they call themselves miners, because to plug in, to buy a lot of processor power and plug it in is not. It's not work, really. When you visit a real mine, a gold mine, and you see them taking whole mountains and trying to pound them into dust so that it can extract grams of gold, and it takes enormous machinery, giant tractors with huge tires and rock crushers and leaching sites, and it's an enormous undertaking for a mine to come up with enough ore at the end of the week to do a melt and come up with a couple good size ingots, So that's real work. That's real mining, and it's really pretentious, I think, for Bitcoin miners to say that that's what they're doing. So I guess that's enough dissing of Bitcoin. On the investments, not on the speculative side, the charts have been pretty clear, and I've been as bullish as Paul Tudor Jones or anyone else on Bitcoin. At this point, I'm not scoffing at the Robinhooders who seem to think it's going to go to 100,000. I wouldn't put it past Bitcoin to do that.
Rick, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, thanks for inviting me on, Jim. It is indeed a pleasure, as always.
My guest has been Rick Ackerman, editor of the newsletter Rick's Picks, his website, rickackerman.com. If you have any questions for Rick or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.